Hey there, friends. I wanted to share with you something that I'm working on in my life because maybe it'll help you, maybe not. But what I'm working on is becoming more like Forrest Gump. If you haven't seen the movie, this video will be absolutely meaningless to you. I'm guessing most of you have. So why am I trying to become more like Forrest Gump? To me, what Forrest Gump symbolizes is someone who leads from his heart. And it's like he's an archetypal symbol of someone with just a heart, not an intellect to interfere and hijack and mask the function of the heart, the brilliance of the heart, the wisdom of the heart, but someone with just a heart, no intellect. So when we look at the movie of Forrest Gump, things work out for him because he just follows his heart. His intellect isn't getting in the way. His intellect doesn't know how to know that he doesn't know how to do something. He just does something. He lets his heart lead the way, doesn't talk himself out of it, doesn't have all the intellectualizations of why it can't work, the fear-based intellectual stuff and reasons why, rationalizations why this won't work. No, he goes through and encounters wonderful success because he's not smart enough to see how he could fail. He's not smart enough to reason why something won't work for him. And I think the dim-witted intellect of Forrest Gump is necessary in this archetype of Forrest Gump to really highlight this symbol of a human being, of someone just living from their heart. So that's what I'm working on, trying to do my best to live more from my heart and not let my intellect interfere with the compass of my heart, letting it take me where it wants me to go. Because I'll tell you, one of the big challenges for me is when I kind of follow the direction of my heart, my intellect has very intelligent reasons why not to do that. My intellect knows I've never done that before. So it knows it would be hard to do. It knows it might be impossible to do. At least it thinks it knows. So Forrest Gump, he doesn't know how to know that he doesn't know how to do things. He just does them. So there's that brilliant innocence of Forrest Gump leading from his heart. So I'd invite you to do the same, doing your best to look at Forrest Gump and bringing a little bit of that into your life, doing your best to just blindly go from your heart. Now the thing with Forrest Gump, he's an extreme example because he literally has a low IQ. In the movie, they talk about how low his IQ is. I forget what. My IQ is not high enough to remember what his low IQ is. So he has a very low IQ. He just doesn't have the intellectual ability to use his intellect very much. He's blessed with the curse of a low intellect, which means he's blessed with a high-functioning heart. He has nothing else to access other than his heart. So for me, part of me thinks my intellect is halfway decent, and I'm not looking to get rid of it. And the invitation isn't for you to go out and try and lower your IQ. Well, let me lower my IQ to become literally like Forrest Gump. Now, I think the deal here, the invitation, is to do our best at times to step in to the heartfelt guidance of Forrest Gump, letting our heart lead the way, even if it scares the living crap out of our intellect, even if our intellect has 100 reasons, well thought out, very intelligent reasons, why not to do something. Now, but we step into the Forrest Gump-like wisdom anyway. And at other times, it's of course necessary, and I highly recommend stepping into our intellectual ability. But the challenge that I have, and I think the challenge that I see so many people have, is the intellectual ability eclipses and suppresses the Forrest Gump-like wisdom of the heart. So again, not looking to amputate my intellect, looking to learn how to set the intellect aside at times and go from the heart. And I think the dynamic ability to be in your heart, then the dynamic ability to go back to your intellect when it's appropriate, I think that is a healthy balance. Just being stuck in your heart. Yeah, I wouldn't want to live my whole life like Forrest Gump. But I do at times, and I think I need more of that. And I sure as heck don't want to live my whole life just stuck in my intellectual, scientific head, completely disconnected from my heart. I think that's an incredibly limited way of living, but our intellect tells us it's the most limitless way of living, which I think is our intellect wanting to control life through the lens of the intellect. So I'm working on my dynamic ability to move in and out of the intellect. And I'd invite you to do the same. And for me, it's similar to the sun and the stars. What I mean by that is I think the intellect and the heart, they have sort of an inverse relationship. Most of the time, they don't really function highly together. It's kind of like, okay, one's dominant or the other's dominant. Rather, they're not really both dominant at the same time. So it's like for one to be highly active, like Forrest Gump, his heart was highly active because his intellect was super inactive. And a lot of kind of scientific-minded people, sorry for stereotyping against you scientists, but a lot of scientifically minded people are very disconnected from their heart. So, for me, this analogy is similar to like the stars and the sun. If you let the sun represent our intellect, when it's sunny outside, you look up and you don't see stars. You don't see a source of light other than the sun. Because it's like the intellect just blinds us. We don't have the starlight coexisting with the intellectual sunlight, if you will. But when it's nighttime, the sun's down, the intellect is not active. Now we get to see a source of light that's actually far greater than the light of the intellect. I mean, the size of the stars, the billions of stars we see in the sky at night, most of those stars are significantly bigger than that of our sun. It seems like the sun's bigger and brighter just because we're closer to it, but we realize we access way more light when the closest star, the sun, is not active. So when we get that, in this analogy, the stars at night are the brilliance of our heart. So when we access the brilliance of our heart, it's not that we've amputated the sun out of our life, it's just inactive for a little while. We didn't go anywhere, its light is just down for now. And I would dare say, we need both. The brilliance of the heart, electromagnetically speaking, it's 5,000 times stronger than the electromagnetic field of the brain, the intellect. So I think we need both. I think, at least for me, I'm too dominant in my intellect, doing my best to learn how to let the intellectual sun go down for a while so I can access the brilliant Forrest Gump-like light from my heart. So with that said, I'm going to go about the rest of my day doing my best to be a little bit dumber so that I can be a little bit wiser, leading from my heart. And I'll step away from my heart wisdom back into my intellect when I need to. And I hope for myself and I hope for you that you can decipher the difference between when you need to be in your heart or when it's advantageous versus when it's advantageous to be in your intellect. And I would also wish that you and I both can travel the space in between, knowing the difference of when it's best to be here or when it's best to be there. So thank you for entertaining these ideas with me on how we can all become a little bit more Forrest Gump-like. Be sure to subscribe to my channel and I'll talk with you next time.